outcome-based educations for engineering programs. The term outcome-based educations, which is also known as OBE, is a famous term in the academic field. Nearly all the academicians know about this. This OBE is part and parcel of the educations in Malaysia, particularly the formal educations. I would say that nearly all the formal educations has now transformed into the outcome-based educations. This is basically an systematic approach used by the academicians in order to improve the qualities of the educations. Many may heard about this, know the concept of outcome-based educations, but when it comes to the applications, they face problem. The reason being here is many do not fully understand the outcome-based educations. Even among the academicians, there are teachers or lecturers do not even believe the OBE. In their perspective, OBE is about documentations, a lot of paperwork, virtual, on basis of a lot of assumptions, time consuming, which at the end of the day deviated from the purpose of the educations. Now, if the academicians themselves do not believe in OBE, there will always be difficulty and resistance in terms of the implementations of the OBE. Now, this module going to discuss about the OBE applied in engineering programs. The reason being here is due to my personal background, which is engineering. Second, the engineering program has pushed the OBE so far that it becomes very complex and it will be rather challenging to fully digest the OBE system. Now, how about the non-engineering programs? Based on my personal observations, the non-engineering program also apply the OBE, except in a more simplified version. However, if you still wish to know about the OBE, maybe you can go through this module, helping you to fully digest the OBE system. Only that there are some elements specifically designated to engineering programs that you might need to be able to identify them, disregard those, and apply whatever is suitable fitting to your own programs. Without further ado, let us get started. First, let us talk about what is OBE. Simply said, it is an learner-centric approach. That means the focus is on the learner. It is all about what the student learn, but not about what we have taught. This is in line with the philosophy of the educations. And educations is considered successful when students learn something after going through the education process. The focus is always about the students. With that, as the academicians, we must always have in our mind that it is never about us. It is not about how knowledgeable we are. It is always about what the students understand, how effectively you can help the students to learn, and what can be achieved by the students. Knowing that it is learner-centric approach, there will be 4 key questions that establish the OBE. First, what do you want the students to have or able to do? Second, how can you best help the students to achieve it? Third, how will you know that they have achieved? And lastly, how do you close the loop? Now, in the context of OBE, what you want the students to learn is known as the outcome. How will you best helping the students to achieve it? that is related to teaching and learning methods. How do you know that they have achieved the relevant outcomes? That will be the assessment part. Now you have something as expectable from the students. The students go through the teaching and learning activities, and then there will be assessment in order to observe whether the outcome has been achieved. Now, whatever is the output of the assessment, there will be a process of CQI. CQI stands for Continual Quality Improvement. It will be on basis of the result from the assessment. Now the academicians trying to improve the qualities of the educations. So this lay the basis of the outcome-based educations. Now first let us talk about the outcome. There are various types of outcome. The topic outcome, the course outcome, the program outcome, and the program objectives. We call this topic outcome as TO, course outcome as CO, program outcome as PO, and program objective as PEO. These outcomes are at various levels. The TO is at the topic level. Normally the assessment is done after completion of that particular topic, and the assessments of the topic outcome can be weekly or by semesters. Now the mode of the assessment can be formative or summative. We're going to discuss about this terminology later. The next level, it will be at the course level. One course constitutes several topics, which at the end of the day, a series of the topic outcome shall fit to the course outcomes. The assessment is normally done by semesters or probably yearly, depending on the education system. Now in a course, there are normally 2 to 3 course outcomes. Some may be more. Typically, it will be about 3 course outcomes per course. Now, the course outcome shall be brought forward into the program outcome. As a program constitutes a series of the courses, and attainments of this CO shall subsequently contribute to the attainments of the program outcome. Now, in terms of the relationships between the CO and PO, it is highly recommended that one CO is attained to one PO. This will be the simplest model in assessing the attainments of the program outcomes. You can have one CO attained to several POs. Now, this will make the computations to be much more complicated. You will have to identify which portions of that course outcome shall contribute to which PO later. Let's say now one CO is attaining to 2 PO. Now the question is the weightage of the contributions. Is it 50-50, 60-40, or 70-30? In terms of the percentage, attaining to one PO relative to another. Let's say now you have a CO attained to PO1 and PO2. Now when you want to analyze at the PO level, you will need to identify the data as acquired from the CO here, how to split those into PO1 and PO2. How many points are to be brought forward to the PO1, while how much go to the PO2. Now, in order to avoid this kind of complications, the best model it would be 1-to-1, one CO to one PO. Now, when we need to assess this PO, we are referring to the graduations of the students. That means the students complete one cycle of the academic in the engineering program. Let's say now an engineering program requires 4 years. The students need to complete the entire program, and the program outcomes are assessed. These are some characteristics related to the PO. First, the program outcome need to be on basis of the latest Engineering Accreditation Council, which is known as EAC manual. The latest versions is going to be 11 POs. There will be graduate attributes. These are the attributes that a graduate of an engineering program should have before enter the industry. And this graduate attribute will need to refer to the documents of graduate attribute and professional competency, which is known as GAPC, produced by International Engineering Alliance. The latest version now is version 4. This can change over time. You will need to refer to the latest version of the EAC manual and also the IET GAPC. Now, the latest versions of GAPC constitute additional element, which is known as the Sustainable Development Goal. We call this as 17 SDG. SDG stands for Sustainable Development Goal. There are 2 accreditation bodies here. For engineering program, we will need to abide to EAC, Engineering Accreditation Council. It is only when we fulfill the requirements of the Engineering Accreditation Council, the Malaysian Qualifications Agency will follow. Now, if the EAC reject, the MQA will also reject. With that, by all means, when come to the accreditations of a program, engineering program, we will need to fulfill all the requirements by the EAC. Now, when come to the assessments of the PO, there are various models. We have accumulating, dominating, and culminating models. This one we're also going to discuss in detail later. Next is about the program objective, which is known as the PEO. And this is referring to after graduations, 3 to 5 years after graduations. This is the durations for a graduate to transform into experienced engineer. Now, this will be the final purpose of that particular program, and it should be in line with the visions and missions of the higher learning institutions. And typically a program will have 2 to 4 PEOs. And when come to the assessment, 3 to 5 years after graduations, the students are already in the industry. They have graduated. We will need to monitor the students and then conduct some surveys in order to determine the quality of the program that they have went through. This is about the outcome part for the OBE. Just now we talked about the outcome. We also talk about the assessment. These are the frequency of the assessment, and then all this will have to be incorporated together with the CQI, which is the continual quality improvement. This is not just finding the relationship between different levels of outcome. There will be assessment in order to determine the effectiveness of that particular program, course, or the teaching and learning method for that particular topic. Knowing the status, improvement plans are executed in order to improve the quality of the program. The diagram here shows the relationship between the CO, PO, and PEO. you will see that there will be a series of CO attending to one PO, another series of CO attending to another PO, and then several PO will lead to the attainments of an PEO. It is only when all the PEO are attained, then we know that the program is functioning well. There will be assessments at the CO level. Based on the assessment outcome, we will observe the attainment status for the PO level, and then based on the attainment status of the PO level, we will see whether the program objective has been fulfilled. Now, if any of these program objectives not being fulfilled, that means something is wrong with the program. We will look into the relationship, identify the source of the problem, and then improve accordingly. Now, how about the topic outcome? Theoretically, the course outcome can be further break down into several topic outcomes. Having so many layers here, it becomes very tedious in terms of the analysis. So, when talk about the evaluations and analysis, normally we will look at the CO, PO, and PEO. As for the topic outcome, it will be more informal, helping the lecturers to gauge the progress and the status of the class. Now, when we talk about the alignments for this CO, PO, and PEO, this is typically how we design a program. Designing a program from top down, which you identify the objective of the program, identify the program outcome, determine series of the courses related to the program, construct the course outcome for each course, and then construct the relationship between the series of PO, CO, and PEO. This is about designing the program from top down. Later, when you want to do the assessment, there will be analysis. When come to the analysis, it will be from bottom up. You assess the performance of the students based on the COs. The assessment result shall be brought forward to the program outcomes, and then the attainment status of the program outcome will be brought forward to the PO levels. This is about analyzing from bottom up. When you look at this kind of structure here, you need to bear in mind that it is not merely grouping, mapping, and computing. This is not the focus. Grouping, mapping, and computing is a part of the OBE, but it is not all about OBE. You should not put too much emphasis on this. Instead, your emphasis shall be how you make sure the students attain the outcome, meeting the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program is the ultimate goal, which you will see PO change over time when there is a new ESC manual, and the course outcome may also change over time, refine and further refine after many rounds of improvements. So, grouping, mapping, and computing is just a part of the OBE. That is not the final goal of the OBE. Another important thing that you need to know is that there must be a strong correlation between the CO and PO, and it should also be strongly correlated between PO and PEO. Not only it is strongly correlated, every single part of those contributing to attainments of the followings. Attainments of the series of the CO here theoretically will lead to the attainments of the PO. And attainments of series of PO here theoretically will lead to the attainments of the following, which is the PEO. Now, attainments of all the PEO, you will know that a program has met its function. Now, this relationship will only be valid when they are strongly correlated. Next, the program design should be outcome-based, not content-based. We are looking at the PEO, what are the objectives of that particular program. We are also looking at the POs, what are the attributes that we would like the graduates to have by the time they enter the industry. And then we design the course outcome in accordance to the attribute that we would like the students to have. It is not the content-based when we design this OBE model. You need to know that only when PEO, PO, and COs are well aligned, the subsequent analysis is meaningful. These are the common mistakes, even the experienced academicians. When too much emphasis put into doing this grouping, mapping, and computing, and when too much emphasis are put into documenting the entire process here, and when your purpose has deviated to attaining the outcome, now the whole thing here collapse. That's why you will see the OBE non-functional. That's why you see many people, even experienced academicians, do not believe in OBE. This normally happens when academicians do not fully understand the OBE, or the group of people designing the program do not fully understand the OBE. This will lead to a dilemma, which it is a part of the requirement by the ESC for the implementations of the OBE. But applying this, it seems like additional paperwork. Over time, it doesn't see improvement. The only thing that improves, it will be the complications of the documents. The documents become more and more details, and the students are ultimately not benefited from this OBE model. Eventually, the OBE does not meet its purpose to improve the program. Instead, it only makes the program more complicated. We don't want this. Therefore, it is very important for us to fully understand OBE.